Welcome back to the Fuel Your Legacy podcast. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a newer, stronger foundation essential in creating your meaningful legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. As much as you like this podcast, I'm certain that you're going to love the book that I just released on Amazon, Fuel Your Legacy, The 9 Pillars to Build a Meaningful Legacy. I wrote this to share with you the experiences that I had while I was identifying my identity, how I began to create my meaningful legacy, and how you can create yours. You're going to find this book on Kindle, Amazon, and as always on my website, samknickerbocker.com. Hey, welcome back to the Fuel Your Legacy show. And today we have a return guest. Super pumped about this. His name is Zack Boothe from episode 211. If you go back and listen to that, you will hear that he was about to go on to a challenge. He was challenging himself to show the world that he could do it. He could do what he was preaching and show people how, quote unquote, easy it is. It's kind of funny. In between that episode and now, there's a show that's come out on Discovery called The Undercover Billionaire, I think is what it's called.
Mm-hmm. It actually, yeah, it is. It actually had come out way before. It's actually what inspired the whole challenge, actually. So Frank Stern was the first one.
Yeah, I didn't know about it at the time then.
Yeah. Frank Stern, it's been a few years. I loved it. I actually reference it all the time. Yeah, incredible show.
Yeah, so anyways, he decided to make his own little show, which is no small feat. I mean, just even making a podcast, the amount of editing and production has to go into even just creating a podcast for you guys to listen to this. That's one level, but he was able to go down. I'm going to let him tell a little bit more about it. But I think that the main thing I want to take away is, one, go back and listen to 211, because we're not going to get into the full details of what the challenge was right now. But also, what are your dreams that if you just went and did it, you could accomplish it? So we're going to hear from Zack, and he's going to follow up on that. And then we're going to get into some other juicy stuff about how you can become successful doing just what he did, right? This isn't there's no advice here. There's no recommendations per se. It's just two men talking about what they've done to achieve success. And if you can glean something that you can apply in your own life, then hopefully we can direct you to the right resources to do that. Super excited, Zack. I'm glad your family's doing well and that they're getting ready for Halloween. But let us know a little bit more about how that challenge went.
Yeah, so better than I expected. I was terrified I would fail. You know, I promoted it. I shared it on lots of podcasts and my own audience and social media, and I didn't know if I'd be successful or not, right? But the whole reason I did it was not to show the world that I'm great. You know, I actually wanted the world to see how much of a goober Zack Boothe was, right? Like that I'm no one special. And if you want to get started in real estate investing, I wanted you to be like, man, if that guy can do it, I can do it, right? Like that's really what I wanted out of the show, because I truly believe that I'm no one special and I'm getting better and better and I'm investing into myself and I'm learning a ton and I'm very proud of who I'm becoming. But, you know, I started off as a window cleaner in this business. Or in business, I was a window washer, struggling one. And I wanted to change my life and I wanted to get into real estate investing. And I showed people what I had learned and what got me from being super broke and getting successful in real estate investing, and how I started with having no resources. And I started from scratch and documented it so y'all could see that, you know. And so the challenge was hard. It was amazing. I actually didn't get the full 40 days like I was supposed to get. I only got 30. Still blew the goal out of the water with only 30 days. My family ended up, you can watch it, of course, it's day by day, shared in my YouTube channel. But my family.
What is your YouTube channel, by the way? We don't want them to.
Real estate investing with Zack Boothe.
Super simple. And Boothe,
yeah.
If you're listening, I mean, it's on the show notes, so just look at it. But also, if you're too lazy to look at it, Boothe is Boothe. So just make sure you're spelling that right, but go for it.
Yeah, you'll find me. I'm sure it'll pop up even if you spell it wrong. But, I wanted to show people how possible it was, because I was a major skeptic. You hear all these gurus and people that somewhat shady, honestly, that scream from the rooftops, get into real estate with no money and get free houses. And dude, this crazy marketing that you see from these gurus is really can turn you off to this. And it turned me off, right? I was like, man, you can't get started in this. And I procrastinated getting started in real estate investing. I procrastinated for 3 years and I'm kicking myself. I watched windows for 3 more years than I had to. Right. And so the whole reason I did the challenge is like, okay, how do I show people and take a skeptic, like Zack Boothe before he started? How do I take him from being a skeptic to a believer? And what took me from being a skeptic to a believer is I saw it happen. I washed windows for this wealthy guy that gave me two of his rentals he didn't want to deal with anymore. Made over $100,000 on them. I'm like, holy crap, deal of a century. But then I realized it's not a deal of a century. You can get a deal of a century every week, right? If you're willing to do the work. And so, the challenge was incredible. Day one, I landed and the goal was to create a list of ugly houses, right? Because the whole concept, guys, if you're going to get a house at 50, 40, 30 cents on the dollar, a lot of people think you have to take advantage or be dishonest or, lie about the value of the house to get it at that price. But that's not it at all. What you got to do is you got to find someone that doesn't want to deal with it. They want to pawn shop for the house, right? And some people might think, oh, well, you're taking advantage of those people. That's not the case at all. You're serving them and helping them in their needs, right? My sales script does not change if it's a family member or if it's a seller that I've never met in my life. And I know this because my cousin called me and I used the exact same script. It was pretty cool, right? And his name's Brent, right? So this happened. Like, this is a real story. He calls me. He's like, Zack, I want to sell my house. I was like, bro, I make money doing this, right? Like, I need to get it at a lot lower price. Why don't you just fix it up and list it with an agent? You'll probably get more. He's like, no, bro, I'm done. I don't give a shit. I'm getting out of this town. He's down in Beaver. He's like, I'm moving. I don't want to deal with it. I'm like, okay, cool. I can buy it, but you're cool if I make a profit, right? Yeah, sure. I just don't want to deal with it. Okay, cool. Right. It's the same exact script. And in the challenge, and you see me have those conversations, cold calling people, day 4, you can hear me. And it's the day I got 3 contracts. I got 3 deals, like massively discounted deals. Same exact conversation. Jerry, sounds like great properties. Why didn't you just list them with an agent? Sound like you're already fixed up. I know, Zack, I just don't want to deal with it. I don't care. He said, I don't care. It's like, great, wealthy guy. He knew that he was giving him at a discount, right? But people will trade convenience for price. The people that'll do that are people that people that are tired landlords, right? They've used them. They've squeezed what they want out of them. They're done with them. They don't care, right? They've made their money. Other people inherited properties, divorce situations. They don't qualify for traditional financing. They don't want to work with real estate agents. They might be super private people and don't want a bunch of people coming through their house, right? So my goal was I got to find as many of these people as fast as possible. Because if I'm going to make the amount of money that I was trying to make, I had to find those people. I had to find them fast. And then I had to pass that opportunity on to another investor because I only had $1,000 to work with. I didn't have $100,000, $200,000, what the purchase prices were. So I had to pass the opportunity on as a finder's fee, right, to these other investors, right? So that's the traditional wholesaling. You have a paragraph in your purchase agreement that's assignable, meaning I can go to Bob, the flipper. And let's say Sam here has a house he wants to sell me. I go, Sam, I can buy it, but it's be worth a lot more if you fix it up. Sam says, I don't care. I just want to be done with it. It's like, okay, Sam, well, I'm probably going to be in this range. We come to an agreement on the price. We sign the contract. Say we sign it at 100,000. I go to Bob, the flipper, and I say, hey, Bob, I've got an assignable contract. Would you pay 120 grand all in for my purchase agreement and closing on the house? Sure. So I make 20 grand because the underlying contract's only 100, right? So I make a $20,000 assignment fee selling the paper. And so that was the plan, right? That was a strategy. So when I land, I have to do a couple things simultaneously. I have to get my title companies. I have to get a cash buyers list. So I have Bob the flipper to sell the deals to. So I'm doing that. And I've got to find the sellers, right? And so I start and go to work. And it was a grind. I mean, there was a 4-day stint that I never left the house. I cold called, just like I got on a triple line dialer, calling 3 people at one time with that dialer from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. And I mean, these are 14-hour days. I was cooking food while I was cold calling on my computer, right? For 4 days straight. It sucked so bad. And the worst part of all of it was I didn't have my family with me. So I was like, babe, like I want to be committed to this and I don't want to be rude to you guys because I'm stressed because I knew this was going to be hard. I was putting myself out there. I didn't know if I was going to fail. This was very important to me because I really wanted to serve as many people. I wanted to show them what it was like, right? But I was going to compact it in just 40 days. Like my average deal takes from the first time I talked to them 4 to 6 months. I didn't have 4 to 6 months. I had 40 days. So, I mean, I'm having to jam pack just a massive amount of work in the first 2 to 3 weeks. It's like, babe, go see your family in Brazil, take the kids, go down to Sao Paulo, Brazil, be there for 30 days while I'm doing this challenge. Last 10 days, come be back with me. Right. So
can I pause here? I don't know when to jump in, so I'm just going to do it.
I just keep talking. I'm so excited about this.
No, it's all good. I want to hear it too, but I don't know when to interrupt people. I think I'm going to do this episode a little bit different than I normally do because I want to make sure people understand this, but I don't want to lose sight of this question. So I'm going to make you jump back just a tad bit. Put a bookmark in. Okay. Families in Brazil coming back for the last 10 days. Okay.
Okay.
So, I'm like sitting over here. Do I jump in? I don't know. Okay. So we've got discount on the market, right? So I want to go back to this philosophy because this applies not just to real estate. This applies to everything. Okay. This applies to value exchange. And if people better understand value exchange, I think it's going to serve them the most. Because it could be in babysitting, it could be in loaves of bread, it could be in back massages, it could be in hairstyles. I don't care what it is, but value exchange is always going to be a thing. Now, with these people, explain in more detail for the audience, specifically in real estate, how did these people already make money? So it's a discount on the market, but they still feel like they're winning.
Who, the end buyer?
The person selling the property, because I'm with you. Real estate's a very interesting space where there's a lot of people, and I don't even know how many people are really shady doing it. So I don't want to say that people are actually shady, but because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding in the market, and the legalities of real estate's been written with a pretty broad brush for a lot of activity, then some people don't always feel like what's legal and ethical are the same thing. Like there's an ethical line and then there's a legal line. And sometimes if you go off the legal line, you may be doing unethical things, but it's still legal. Okay. So I want to be explicitly clear because I already know the answer to a degree, but I want to learn as well. How does the seller of these discounted properties, how are they still happy about the decision and making money when they're selling at not just a discount of the market would be one thing, but most of the stuff you're buying at like 50% off
or more. Last 2 weeks ago, I assigned a piece of paper. I assigned a purchase contract for $103,000. I made $103,000 profit.
Yeah. So like you're not just like cashing in a little bit. You're like crushing some of this. So how does that person still feel like they won when they could have assigned the same piece of paper to the same person and made that $100,000 themselves, still leaving their property in the same position? Yeah. Explain that, because I have the answers in my own mind of how it might work, but I'm curious how on or off base I am, and I'm curious how they feel about it.
Yeah. So the best way to explain it is we're a pawn shop for houses. So people that go to a pawn shop, do they know they're selling it to that person that's going to flip it for a profit?
Yes. I mean,
they do 100%. Right. So I have there's Craigslist in our local Utah market, KSL, but there's people that post stuff for free that has value for free because they want it gone now. They don't want to deal with it. And they don't even want to go drive and give it away to some of these free places to drop off and help the community. Right. They just post it for free. Someone can get it. I don't want to deal with it. I have a guy in my office, Miguel, that works for me full time. He does it part-time in the evening and part-time in the afternoons. He picks up free furniture off Craigslist and sells it on Facebook Marketplace and makes $10,000 a month. Right. On the side. So this can be done with anything. We're just doing it with real estate. Right. So you need to realize 1 in 100 sellers want speed and convenience over price. Right. And a lot of people think, oh, you're taking advantage of these people by taking their equity. You're a bottom feeder, whatever. Right. And I thought that too. That's what kept me from getting into this business for 3 years. Worst mistake of my life, because it didn't sit right with me in my belly. I was like, you're taking advantage of people, guys. Like, of course, sure, you made a lot of money, but that's not ethical in my mind. In my morals, it didn't make sense. But I met Stan. Right. I was washing his windows and he was wealthy and he was a developer and he knew he was giving him at a discount. And I made over 6 figures. And I might have mentioned that in the previous podcast. Right. But that was like, aha, it can be done. And that's why I did the challenge to show people, right, how it's done and why it's done. So how is it a win for the seller? I'm going to give you an example for Jerry. Right. 3 properties that I put under contract on day 4 of the challenge. Right. Jerry knew that I was going to make money. He said, I hope you make a fortune on them. He told me that. I said, Jerry, you could make more money if you don't work with me. He says, I don't care. You can hear all this in the challenge. This is why I did it, guys. Like, to show you that they don't care. They want convenience. I go to Jerry's house. His wife completely like shut off. She didn't want to sell them to me. Jerry had given me a price over the phone at 50 cents on the dollar. Already he named his price. Right. And I said, great, I'll come on over. But his wife was very standoffish. She wanted way, way more, and it would have priced me out. And I said, I can't do that. I'm sorry. You know, Jerry told me 50 over the phone. I show up. She wants 80 per property. Like, I can't do that for me to be able to make a profit the way I want to. And I got, built a relationship. I was there for almost 4 hours talking to him. And Jerry was telling about how he had wheeled and dealed and got all of his rentals and everything else. And I couldn't quite understand why they were selling them at a discount just so free. And he just kept telling me it was because they were too far away. They were getting older. They didn't want to deal with them. Right. And he was on board to really wanted to sell them. And she wasn't. I really worked hard for her to trust me and like me and try and understand why she wasn't on board and he was. In the end, we signed the purchase agreements, $55,000 for as a purchase price for 2 of the houses. We got the 3rd one a little higher, but actually ended up talking them down to like $35,000 for that house. They were manufactured homes on land. Anyways, at a very, very nice discount. But after we signed those agreements, Jerry went to go get the copies of the contracts, right, in the scanner. And his wife told me that Jerry was dying of cancer. And that's why Jerry was so adamant about selling those, because they were in rougher neighborhoods and they were far away. And he didn't want his wife going out there. And she felt confident enough to manage a very bright, very intelligent gal, very capable. She was going to manage all the other properties and real estate that they owned. But Jerry felt uncomfortable dying and leaving his wife those 3 properties. So for him, being done with them was more important than getting as much money as possible, because he didn't want to deal with them. He was sick. He wanted to focus on being with his family in the last months of his life. Right. And I didn't know that. And I became really close, and we hugged and we cried, and it was a spiritual experience for me, because I had prayed to meet a Jerry, to show the audience what it took to be successful in this business. Right. And so when you ask, why do people sell at a discount, is they want the convenience over the price and nothing else. It's that simple, right? We're adding value by adding speed and convenience.
Right. And I think, so all that is, and I love that. I think that the story is really what's there, understanding the circumstances, because people think only the number side of it. I'm going to talk about the number side of it, and you can add more detail into the number side of it, because you're definitely more clued in than I am on the numbers, but I just understand basic math, right? Most of these properties were probably purchased for less than they're selling them for today.
Yeah.
So they're still making a profit, albeit probably not the best profit, a profit on the sales price, even selling at a discount. And I'll give you an example. On my own personal house in 2017, end of 2016, beginning of 2017, I purchased a townhome in Pleasant Grove, Utah for $170,000, right? That same townhome right now is quote unquote worth, or would sell for $350,000, or maybe a little bit more. Okay. So I could sell that home for $200,000 or assign that contract for $200,000, somebody could literally take that contract and assign it to somebody else for $350,000. I would still make $30,000 and they would make $150,000, and it would be a win-win. Now, in the situation of a rental, let's say that I didn't buy that house myself, but I was renting it. If you rent a home, I don't know how long they held these properties, but let's say you held the properties for 10 years and you made $500 a month for 10 years. That's $60,000 per home that they made in rental income over those 10-year period of time, on top of the sale price of that home. So they still are winning financially. Just because it's on a discount at the market doesn't mean they are losing. And I think that concept applies everywhere. Just because somebody else thinks something is worth more, like, because we're going to talk about coaching, we're going to talk about leadership, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff throughout this podcast. And when you think about it, I've paid a lot for coaching and I've paid a little for coaching. And the dollar amount that I pay does not determine how good the coaching is. What I'm willing to put into the coaching determines how good the coaching is, and my experience. And so just because the market value says one thing doesn't mean that that's the actual value you're getting. I used to say that if you're working for less, like if you're getting paid hourly money less than what you think you're worth, then you're out of integrity, right? I used to say that, and I used to believe it. And then I talked to some more people, talked to some other people, and found out that there's a lot of people. I just have never been one of them necessarily, but they would take, I know multiple people have clients who have taken a $50,000 pay cut to go work as an assistant to somebody else in their industry who is farther ahead down the road, so that they could gain the experience of playing at a higher level. And the experience they were getting was worth more than the $50,000 that person was paying them. And so where in your life are you not really understanding that the value is not always in the dollar? The value is in so much other stuff, which I think that story demonstrates beautifully in the area of real estate. But this is everywhere in your life, guys. There's value in every aspect of your life. And we got to stop thinking just in terms of money and start thinking of what value am I not picking up because I'm not aware of it, that could be added to my family or my soul, that just awareness could change and turn it into $1 million experience rather than a $100 experience. So anyways.
Yeah, a perfect example of that, my camera guy, I was searching for a videographer to come, and I had a full team, here in my office that were going to be editing and producing and all that stuff. But I needed someone to follow me and work 14-hour days, 7 days a week for 40 days and leave their family and everything else. And I struggled to find a camera crew that would do it. And put it out there. And I had someone that wanted to learn what I was doing and said, hey, this is my coaching. And they came and did all that videography on their own dime, right? To be able to learn. So yeah, I didn't have to pay for the camera work.
Yeah, well, exactly. You didn't have to pay financially, but you gave somebody 40 days and ultimately they have all those recordings. So, I mean, you gave somebody hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of value in exchange for 40 days worth of education and putting in the legwork. So I hope that that's one thing when we're focusing on legacy and we're focusing on creating a multi-generational impact, that we're not just thinking in terms of money, because there's so much more ways to impact each other than just financially. And so I wanted to make sure we highlighted that, because I agree with you. There's a lot of people out there who have negative feelings towards it. You come across them, I come across them. And I want to make sure that people understand the value that's being transacted, even though it's not financial dollars. So thank you.
I also think that some of that negative feelings around money is people have a mindset that if someone wins, someone else has to lose, right? They think it's a big sports game. It's not that way at all, right? If you structure your business correctly, everyone should win. Everyone should benefit because of the existence of your company, because of the existence of your value that you're providing. The customer wins, your employees win, you win. Everyone should be winning. That's the beauty of a free market, right? There's bad examples of people taking advantage of others for personal gain, right? But that exists everywhere in the world. But if you do this right, you want to be in business long term, it is value for everyone. A lot of people think money's the root of all evil and money's evil. And if I have money, I will become an evil person. But the funny thing is if you don't have money or at least enough to take care of your own family, you are a burden to your society. You are a burden to other people around you because you can't even take care of you and your own, right? And when you have a surplus, you now have an opportunity to be a blessing beyond yourself and your own family. You have an opportunity to serve many, many more. And I take that as a personal responsibility in where I'm at. I believe that the success that I have, I now have a stewardship and a responsibility to give back and help. And I can do that. As a window cleaner, I never could. I remember the day my son was born. I couldn't figure out how to pay the medical bills. And I sat there and stewed and was suffering internally the whole day at the hospital that my son was going to be born. Instead of focusing on the most beautiful moment of my life of becoming a father, I was thinking, how do I pay these medical bills? Right. And many people listening to this, if you're in that position, I feel where you're coming from, and it doesn't have to be that way. You can have your cake and you can eat it too. You can have a fulfilled, purposeful, beautiful life and have all the resources and money that you want, right? 100%.
Yep. I cannot agree more. I'm literally at my house. I was just talking to my sister about kind of the life that I've created. And we're calculating like what value is. And like, I really like the life that I have right now. And I have an assistant that takes a lot of load off of me so that I can spend more time with my family. And we're calculating roughly how many hours. And basically it's about $28 an hour equivalent of like what I'm buying back of my life every day, $28 an hour. I'm like, what is $28 an hour worth? What is 3 hours of your life worth with your family every day? And I really, really like the life that I've created. And it doesn't, you see these other people, as you mentioned, they're struggling, they're thinking, how am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to make the next thing? And it doesn't have to be that way. And for many people, it's not that way. And if you want to know how to make it not that way for you, because if you're in that situation, there's no shame, there's no guilt. And if you call Zack, Zack's not going to make fun of you. Like, I was there. Just stop it. No, he's going to say, well, do you want to change? Do you really want to grow? Because if you want to grow, I would say most people won't become successful until they really want it. That's just been my experience. I'm not saying that it won't happen, but that's been my experience. Then you can. And so if you want to, Zack, like myself, we're all pretty charitable human beings. Every successful person I know, I actually don't know any greedy, successful people. So every successful person I know personally is a very charitable person, and they want to give of their time. Something that Zack said before we got on this podcast today is he's going in building up another endeavor in his portfolio, which we'll talk about here later on in the podcast. And he's like, look, I don't have to do this. I could work 3 days a week and still be doubling my net worth every year.
It was actually 3 hours a week. I didn't even have to work a full day at this point. If I didn't want to
work 3 hours a week and double his net worth every year if he wanted to, or he could work 40 hours a week, or I don't know, maybe it's not 40, maybe it's 30. I don't know how many hours a week you're working right now, but he could work more and have a passion project of helping other people achieve freedom, helping other people. And it's not, guys, it's not financial freedom. It's the freedom to be able to experience your child's birth. It's the freedom to be able to sit at home and go to a Halloween party with your kids without stressing about the bills the next day. It's, for me, right? It's the freedom of being able to turn on the pool heater and heat up the pool for a weekend or a week with my family. It's not about money. It's about what opportunities and experiences are you providing for your immediate family first, I would say, but then also the people around you. what type of freedom are you giving people emotionally, spiritually, to connect with each other? And in his example with Jerry, the freedom that he offered that person by taking those properties off their hands was the freedom to experience more peace, knowing his wife was not going to be potentially going to a bad neighborhood after he's gone. And that's freedom. And if you're a parent, I'm sure you've experienced the stress of worrying about your children or your spouse, not because you want to worry, but it's like a natural thing. You just care about them. And so you want the best for them. And so that's the freedom that Zack is talking about offering. And in most cases, a lot of that starts with figuring out how money works and becoming financially free. Not always, but in a lot of cases, it's the case. So let's get back to the story, though, because I'm dying to hear about what actually happened on this journey. I need to go back and watch all of your YouTube series now. But so you were going to spend 40 days out there, 3 weeks by yourself, and then the last 10 with your family. How did that go?
Yeah. So Karen was actually supposed to, my wife, Karen, and my 2 children were supposed to come home from Brazil. And I was burnt out. I mean, I had blown my goal out of the water by then, and had a couple deals pending. And they were supposed to get on a plane, and they tested positive for COVID. Definitely can't fly international when you have COVID. Didn't know what the potential issues would be. I didn't know, I was more worried about her parents, but my children are there and my wife's there. And so I had my passport with me just in case something like that happened, and my visa and everything. And so I went and got tested for COVID and jumped on a plane and bailed out. So there's only 30 days documented, but I stayed on top of following up with the leads that I had. And I actually got 2 more contracts within the 40 days, but while I was down in Brazil. So in one of those deals, I'll tell you this, one of the deals I got just talking to people over the phone that I signed over the phone when I was down in Brazil, I mean, $53,000 on the one deal, right? While I was in Brazil the last 10 days. So, it was a crazy experience, man. And it was hard. And it was really hard because I worked a lot of hours and I took a lot of rejection, and I cold called, and I didn't sleep very much, and I didn't exercise, and I didn't eat right, and I didn't take care of myself the way I should have, because sometimes that's what's required in the beginning. Because many of our audience, they don't have the ability to walk away from their day jobs. They got to feed their families. So you might find yourself working till midnight and weekends and Sunday and every day and every moment that you have, so you can walk away from that servitude, right, in your day job. And, but I wanted to show people that it's worth it and that it's possible. And, I feel extremely grateful and, for what happened and what I was able to share in that journey.
Now, what's crazy is in Utah, I'm going to pull it up right now. I'm curious if it's changed, but the average median income, household income, median income, Utah, 2021. So is $76,000. Sorry, $71,000 in Utah. Now, when you think about the median income, that's bringing in a lot of high income earners that don't actually belong in the median, right? That they're the median, but they're not throwing out the highest income earners. So what's most people doing in Utah? Probably closer to 50. So that if they had the right coach, the right mentor, and they were able to just help one family offload a house that they don't need, one business owner, one real estate person who's wanting to level up, get out of, maybe they just want to get out of the single family and get into more of the commercial, whatever it is. They have one person achieve their goal and they could make a year's worth of income. With one,
it's life changing. I remember the first 8 months of doing wholesaling, right? Once I hired a coach and he gave me the action steps, in 8 months, I made over 6 figures, and which was awesome. hell of a lot better in window cleaning. Right. And then the next year, just shy of $500,000. And in that time period, I was like, holy crap. Right. And I started building my team, and I went and paid off my vehicles cash. And I went to Hawaii for the first time, and I started going to Alaska every year. And I started being able to do some stuff with the money. And then I happened upon coaching, right? At the end of that second year where I did $500,000, I decided to start teaching other people what I learned. And the only reason I did that is because I was being greedy and wanted to do $1 million. And I read somewhere that you had to give away what you want to receive. It was a self-help journal by Darren Hardy. So I was like, okay, if I want to make $1 million, I got to give it away. It's like, okay, well, how do I give away $1 million when I don't have it? Right. And frankly, I don't want to give it away. And plus, it didn't necessarily go with kind of my belief that you don't give people money. You give people lottery winnings. You give, professional athletes that don't know how to manage money, a ridiculous amount of money. And most of them file bankruptcy. They're worse off because of the money than they were. And it's like, I want to help people. I don't want to hurt people. So it's like, I don't want to just give money away. And I thought, you know what? I could teach them what I've learned and teach them the processes to put $500,000 in my pocket to 10 people, easily put $1 million in their pockets. And when I did that, I learned so much and realized how little I actually knew at the time. And it changed everything within my own real estate business. That year we did $1.2 million because I started coaching. What I learned, I implemented in my own business, right? What I learned from my students, what I learned because they asked me questions. I said, I don't know, I'll figure it out. Right. And went to my mentor and asked him. Right. Exactly. And then I grew. And then I went back to my students and said, oh, here it is. This is the answer. This is how you do it. Right. But not only did I make the money, but all of a sudden I had not only money, but I had purpose, had fulfillment. I was changing lives. Right. One of my first students texted me four weeks ago, Michael McLeish. He's now made over $1 million. He texted me this. He knew that was my goal of putting $1 million in the first 10 students. He was my first student I signed up. He's now made over $1 million alone from what I taught him. Right. And Scott Dallinger, his first deal, $113,000, quit his corporate job. Right. Like I've helped people have a massive amount of success. They're hard workers. They're high achievers. They're wonderful people. They probably would have had success without me, but I got to be a small part in their journey. At least I did something at least, and I can hang my hat on that. I can die, and hopefully in the next 100 years from now, no time soon, but that I can, that's something that I can be proud of. And that's why I coach. That's why I help. That's why I have my YouTube channel and my podcast. And that's why I'm putting in so many hours with the coaching business, because my real estate investing business, my wholesaling business, it's automated. I look at my financials once a week. That's it. It takes me a few hours. That's all I do. Right. And everyone else runs it for me. And, but man, it's been an incredible experience. Real estate wholesaling specifically is, in my opinion, the best business in the world, right? Because real estate investing is the best investment, but how much cooler is it to have a business that sources investment opportunities? Like that's the thing. Like that's what real estate wholesaling is. I cherry pick the best deals and wholesale the rest and sell the rest. Right. So my net worth is increasing. My cash flow, my passive income is increasing. And I have this cash flowing business that's spitting out deals to me. Right. It's incredible. Real estate investing is my favorite because of the tax benefits. You can depreciate an appreciating asset, meaning it's going up in value and you're showing a phantom loss on paper. So you pay less in taxes, right? It's how the wealthy aren't paying taxes. It's the only asset that you can sell and turn around and buy a similar, purchase price or higher and pay no taxes on the profits that you made off the deal, right? You can't do that in stocks. You can't do that in most things, right? Like it is 100% the most tried and true and favored investment in my opinion. And real estate wholesaling is the gateway for someone like me that didn't come for money, that didn't know what the hell he was doing, and being able to just blow it up in just a couple of years.
Yeah, I'm grateful that you've had such success, and I'm grateful that you're focused on, rather than just being selfish and keeping it to yourself. Because as the reality is, Zack doesn't have to do this thing. He's telling me he's been on almost 20, or his goal is by the end of this month, his goal is 30, but he's gonna be on like 20 podcasts this month. That's 20 hours of just straight talking and sharing truth, sharing the benefit of of his knowledge and his experience with others. He's not getting paid a dime to be on this podcast. I'm not paying him anything. Yeah. Love him. Happy for his support. Happy for his success. But we're just friends. And we want to share each other's successes because we both have a common goal. And the common goal is that we want to help people believe in themselves a little bit more. Give people the freedom to live the life that they were meant to live instead of to live the life that somebody else has put upon them, right? What if you really got to make all your own decisions and live the life that you wanted to live with zero expectations, zero control, zero anything from another person? Like for me, that's freedom, and that's what I'm after. The only person who controls a little bit of my life is my wife. My wife gets to control some of my time, and I'm grateful for it because she comes up with some fun things to do. We might go to movies, go to plays, go do fun things. I'm grateful that she controls some of that time. But yeah, you were going to say something. I saw you peek up.
Yeah, no, I was just going to share a quote. I think it was Miriam Love, a return. I think it might be like a return to love. I can't remember the book, but there's a quote that she shares in there. I'm going to butcher it, but I'm going to share it anyways. It basically it says that, we're all children of God, and if we don't, I'm going to butcher this horribly. If we don't share our successes and empower other people, we don't let the light of God that shine through us, right? If we hide our wins. But the interesting thing is when we do share those successes and we do put ourselves out there, it inspires and serves other people. If I take on a student, I actually have a handful of requirements before I'll coach them. I don't just take your money because you'll pay me. So one of my requirements is you're not allowed to be a student of mine unless you're willing to share your success on my podcast. Unless you're willing to share your story, what you did, how you did it, your struggles, all of that, and be transparent and honest and open so other people can relate to you. Because I have people from every part of the United States. I have people with English being their second language. I have immigrants. I have people from all over the world that live in the United States, different backgrounds, single moms, single dads, part-time, full-time, people that have different ethnicities, like doing deals and sharing their struggles. And someone, a single mom with 5 kids is not going to relate to me. Right. Yep. But they might relate to Roxy Chamba Chumbi, right? Immigrant from, I think she's from Peru. Forgive me if I got that wrong. But I know she's from South America. English is their second language. Single mom, right? Was able to do her first deal, make $30,000, right? Life-changing stuff, right? But a single mom's going to relate to her and her story. But I think it's so important that when you pursue success, you need to understand that if you're doing it to look cool, to feel cool, to get your watch, to get your Gucci belt, to be the cool guy, like I don't agree with that. And I think that you're going to live and have a very empty and unfulfilled life because you probably want those things because you don't have self-esteem and you don't have self-love and you're looking for outside recognition from other people. And you think that by having things and having money will get you that recognition and fill that hole and void inside your soul. And I promise you that hole will get bigger as you try and feed it with outside recognition, because you will find financial success eventually because you're going to work towards it in your why, but you're not going to fill that void and you're going to have constant feelings of insecurity, right? But soon as you start to fill that hole with the joy and success of other people, that's when that feeling of insecurity and of self-worth will go away, because there's something about helping our fellow brothers and sisters, right? I don't care if you're a Christian or if you're Muslim or if you have no religious background at all, right? There is a universal law, right, that governs everything that happens to us in this world, right? And what fulfills us as people, and the reason we live in communities and not solo, like a bear that just by himself out in the forest, all by himself. We live in communities, right? Because we need each other. We need to help each other. We need to have that connection. And so as soon as you start to make an impact in other people's lives, that's when you're going to see a difference in your own life.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot agree more. And if you know me, I agree with everything you just said. So I'm just so grateful for you. You mentioned that you have some resources on your website. Obviously, you have your podcast. Go ahead and tell us the name of your podcast, your website, where you have resources. Just if somebody's interested, wanting to take the next step. Obviously, you've got a list of qualifications before you're even going to work with somebody.
Yeah.
If somebody did want to work with you, where would they go? What would that look like? And how would they engage you? What's the right way to engage with you?
Cool. So first I want to share a free gift. Okay. So please get this free gift to everyone that listens to this. So you can go to dfdmastery.com/7 in free. I assume will be in the show notes. But that is a free resource. I call it the 7 reasons why driving for dollars is the fastest way to make an absolute fortune in real estate investing. It is the strategy of how I'm finding these super discounted properties, right? Driving for dollars is what I'm doing. So get that free resource. It breaks down why it's the best strategy to find discounted properties. It's a strategy that I used for the 40-day challenge that we talked about. So make sure you get that free resource. You can find me on my podcast, Driving for Dollars Mastery. If you love podcasts, catch it there anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts. You can catch me on Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok. I haven't been on there in a minute, but I do have some TikTok. And then my YouTube channel, Zack Boothe, for real estate investing with Zack Boothe. And then my website is DFD, stands for Driving for Dollars, dfdmastery.com. And that's where you can go to see some reviews from some of my students and also to book a call and talk to me about the coaching program. But before you do that, make sure you look into other coaches. Make sure you look at your options. Make sure you, check out my podcast and see the testimonial videos, right? Because if you want to book a call and hire a coach, I want to give some people some advice here because they might be like, oh, Zach's pitching his course. I honestly, if you think that is why I'm saying these things, then don't join my program, right? I don't want you to join my program if you're at all hesitant in my authenticity, right? Of wanting to help and serve you. So let me give you some advice though. Get a coach, because I did not have success till I had the right coach. I tried this and failed for 3 years. Okay. So we didn't really get into that story, but it was a struggle. I spent tens of thousands of dollars on marketing and never got a lead, never got a deal. Right. And I happened upon the one washing windows, but then I got a coach and it changed my life. I got Tom Kroll, doesn't coach anymore. I would say go hire him. He taught me everything I know. Right. But he's amazing. Love the guy. Texted him just a couple of days ago. Love him to death. But anyways, when you're finding a coach, right, identify what you're trying to accomplish. So if you're trying to accomplish wholesaling, for example, I want to do wholesaling, I want to get my first deal, you need to find a coach that's done and is doing what you're trying to accomplish, right? You need to find someone that's consistently helping other people find success. It's a whole nother ball of wax to do it yourself and a whole nother thing to teach it. They have to have a teacher's heart. They have to be available. They have to serve. They have to have a heart to help you be successful, right? It's a big difference. The last thing is make sure that you trust that person, right? Because you want to make sure that their ethics are in line with yours. You don't ever want to be put in a place where they're asking you to take actions on something that doesn't sit right in your belly. Because if that's the case, it's not going to work out. Plus, if you don't really like or trust that person, it's going to be a lot easier for you when you get discouraged to go, never mind, right? But if you love and trust that person, you don't want to let them down. It's going to put a lot more fire under you to follow through, right? So those are my 3 requirements, right? With finding a coach, I use the same requirements when I find a coach, right? So find a coach. That would be my advice if you really want to get started in this. And I can be your coach, yes, but if you think that's why I said those things, then don't join mine. Find someone else.
Yeah. And that goes for anything in life, right? We've talked about real estate on this podcast, but if you want to become a great phenomenal mother, or you want to become a great father, or you want to have a better marriage, or you want to be better in your health, or like, it doesn't matter what it is. Maybe you want a financial coach. Maybe you want a coach to help you go dunk a basketball. It doesn't matter what it is. I actually believe in coaches immensely, and I think that everybody should have a coach or multiple, right? Most of the high achieving people I know people who have hypno coaches, they've got sleep coaches, they've got food coaches, they've got massage therapists, which are, you could call them a physical type coach. They've got exercise trainers, and they have like a team of coaches that they're paying every month to make sure that they're living and they're at their best life, right? So yep. you think, oh, well, he's just saying that, or anybody's just saying that. I actually don't know of any coaches. Again, this is just maybe my limited knowledge, but I don't know of any coaches that don't use coaches.
And if you do find one, don't hire them because they're garbage.
Yeah, like stay as far away. Even if they learned a bunch, like you think, well, Tony Robbins, he's at the top of his game. Tony Robbins is using coaches. He's using vocal coaches. He's using health coaches. He's using coaches. Now, maybe nobody's coaching him on how to be a coach, potentially, right? But he has coaches in other areas of life because he's specialized in one thing. And even Zack, if Zack wants to go learn another area of real estate, or another area of how to build a coaching program, or another area of how to build a website or whatever, he's going to go hire a coach to help him do that. He's not just going to go do it himself and say, well, I've achieved success in one area of my life, so I'm automatically going to be successful everywhere else. That's just not the case, right? I was talking to a client of mine just 2 days ago, and they had been successful in one industry. They moved industries and they weren't finding a lot of success, and they were getting discouraged. And like, look, I had the same problem when I was in summer sales. I was having success based on what I was aware of in the summer sales world. And then I moved industry, and my income got cut in a third because I didn't think that I could actually accomplish. I didn't think I had the credibility to be successful in the new industry. And it was total hogwash, right? So it's what you believe is important, but hiring a coach, could not agree more. Could not agree more. So definitely go check him out there. Thank you so much, Zack, for your time here. I'm excited to hear about the next experience you decide to go do and how it turns out for you.
Hopefully it's not so hard.
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh man, that was rough, but I'm glad I did it. I hope you guys enjoy it and get a ton of value and change your lives because of it. And if you do, let me know.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, well, we'll catch you guys next time on the Fuel Your Legacy show. Thanks for joining us. If what you heard today resonates with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me. And if you do give me a shout out, I'll give you a shout out on the next episode. Thanks to all of those who've left a review. It helps spread the message of what it takes to build a legacy that lasts. And we'll catch you next time on Fuel Your Legacy.